Oh. Hey guys, do you remember in the old times when everyone used to gather around the 486 and listen to the old radio show? If you remember that, you're probably a pretty weird person. But if you do, maybe you also remember this. This is the Radioactive, an FM stereo board that plugs directly into an ISA slot on your computer. As far as I can tell, this was released by Novex Technologies in 1994 and has software that runs on both DOS and Windows 3.1. Some of the features of this puppy, it says on the back of the box anyways, that it's fully programmable, does not require a soundboard, and has a triple gang super heterodyne receiver. So upon opening the box, the first thing you'll see is this nice blue 3.5-inch floppy disk that has all the software you need to run it. It also comes with a user's guide, a 3-foot antenna with an RCA jack for plugging into the card, and the Radioactive board itself. Looking at the front of the card, you can see it's an 8-bit ISA card that's very proud of itself. You can see the prominent Radioactive logo on the front. Moving along to the back, there's 3 inputs or outputs or whatever you want to call them. One is an antenna input, one is a speaker output, and one is a line output that you can use to connect your sound card to the device. So the device can be used standalone, or you can connect it to the line in on your sound card and play through it that way. Although there is some caveats with that, as we will discuss later. But anyway, enough talk, let's put this thing in a machine. I decided to put this thing in my IBM PS1 486 Consultant. In doing so, I yanked out an old yellow looking modem that had been in there forever since I had it. And I just slotted the card in. And the CMOS battery had been long dead on this thing, so I decided to replace that as well, and I found a Noodle inside the computer. Not really sure where that came from, but anyway, the software on the disk installed through Windows and installed the Windows software and the DOS software, so let's check those out now. Alright guys, so like I said before, I got the card all installed all the software installed through Windows, but it also installs version for DOS. So let's check the DOS version out first. And one interesting thing to note that is if you turn on the speakers, you notice that the radio is always on. I think this is more of a feature than a bug, because actually if you tune the station to what you want and then you exit the program, it'll continue playing off that station. So you're not really using any resources running the program. Kind of cool. But anyway, let's get into the actual program. So let's start it up. It's DOS Radio is the program. Okay, so we have a pretty simple interface here. There's a few stations that have been programmed actually. So this is what it sounds like there. This is just kind of some kind of talk show or something. But you can actually, you would have 5 here and you switch the windows. And you can actually fine-tune stations. You can do this on the Windows and DOS side. Kind of more granular control over the digital radio portion. So if it's like 94.0, you could tune it past that and sort of tune it in. It actually does work. There's also an auto scan, which I can't get to work. I don't really know how it works. I don't think it does work, because every time you do it, it just kind of like auto scans on, and you would think it would scan the channels, but nope. Well, you have to change the station set too, but I think it would scan the channels for like a normal auto scan. It would just like search until it found a channel, but this doesn't do that. But yeah, this is the DOS version. Pretty simple. Let's move over to the Windows version and check that one out. So one thing to note, as you can hear, it's still fuzzing in the background. So you can actually turn this on and off if you have like a sound blaster like I do. So I could just turn off the monitoring on the line input. That's what it's plugged into right now. And this affects DOS and Windows, but if you want to have it going, you can do that. It's kind of cool. So let's get into the actual program here. This is Radioactive for Windows. Let's load it up. So as you can see, it's pretty close to the DOS version. It just has a GUI now. So you can program stations in, like I have a few programmed in. The classical station here is programmed in. And that's what it sounds like. This also has the fine tune right here, so you can see it got a little clearer there. Actually does work. For whatever reason, it makes the hard drive go every time you click it. I'm not sure what that's all about. It's weird. There's also, you got volume control here. And as you can tell, again, I can tune it in, power off the program, and it just keeps going. Another interesting feature that is actually described on the box is if you minimize the program here. Let's just minimize it. It actually shows the station that is tuned in at the bottom of the screen, which is kind of cool. Kind of a neat little, interactive feature. I don't think many Windows 3.1 apps could do that. It's sort of interesting. This one also has a clock for some reason, just like a normal radio would. It still has that auto function, and as far as I can tell, it still does not stinking work. So, yeah, it just doesn't work. But you can go in here, if you go into Setup. Let me turn that down so it's not fuzzing everywhere. If you go into Setup, it's got a few cool little features. You can go in here and you can name channels. Like, say this is the classical channel. I named it Class. I think you can only fit up to like 5 letters or something. And you can update the station. You can also set a bunch of presets, just like the DOS version. You can set well, this one only has 10. The DOS one, you can set like 100 presets. This also has this futuristic, computer alarm feature. So if you were like a futuristic guy in the 90s here and you had, your computer hooked up all the time, you could use it as an alarm clock, I guess. Kind of cool. And you could set it to tune into whatever stations you had programmed, I guess. So that pretty much describes the entire program. Kind of a cool little feature. I'm not really sure what the point of this card is 100% exactly. I think it's, I guess in the 90s you didn't have like Spotify and stuff, and so you could have this on your computer and you could like open documents and you could have a radio going, I guess. That's kind of cool. Like I said, it doesn't close out, so technically I could tune in the radio here and I could just turn it off here. Let's exit Windows and I could play a game while the radio's going. Let's try that. Let's turn off the music here and you could play Duke Nukem with classical music playing off of the radio. This game's awesome, even with classical music playing. I like classical music, but it's just kind of unfitting. But anyway, guys, that just about does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Kind of a cool little card, kind of see like it's interesting cards like in the 90s like this. It's just like kind of weird. Like no one would really ever want this now, and I don't know who really wanted it back then. I mean, you could just have a computer. You could just have a radio hooked up next to your computer. I don't know. It was very easy to install, so I guess, and it doesn't use any computer resources, so it's kind of a neat little thing, and I guess you could technically use it to record radio as well, but, yeah, I don't know. Cool little thing. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have more videos like this, and I have new videos coming every week most of the time, so get subscribed and hit that like button. And I'll see you guys in the next one.